Whether the workouts are occurring at team facilities or players working out on their own, injuries can happen and do happen in the offseason. Deebo Samuel, working out with teammates in Nashville, suffered a Jones fracture in his foot. It was reported yesterday, confirmed by the team. Deebo Samuel took to social media and made it clear that indeed the injury happened, and he said, "See you in 10 weeks." Now, that takes us right up against the start of the season, and it makes you wonder what kind of shape he's in, makes you wonder whether or not there's going to be any complications. You know how it goes in football, Big Cat. Every surgery is a success. Every player is ahead of schedule in his rehab until he's not, and it's going to bear watching. That Jones fracture in the foot can be very tricky. It's like fourth or fifth metacarpal, one of the two. Metatarsal. Foot is tarsal, hand is carpal. I'm having a flashback, not the femur. I'm having a flashback to biology class, but the foot, it's the metatarsal, and sometimes it just doesn't want to heal right in there. So hopefully Deebo Samuel gets healed up quickly for the 49ers. He was great last year. He was a godsend for that offense, and as the season went on, he got better and better, and he's one of those guys that was in the loose conversation to possibly be the Super Bowl MVP. That's how much of an impact he had in that game against the Chiefs.
I love Deebo Samuel. I've loved him ever since South Carolina just because of his name is unbelievable, and he's a great player. You didn't mention, though, Mike, you just talked about his surgery. You didn't mention the fact that Deebo Samuel said he had perfect surgery. So that kind of makes it a little different, right? It's, there's good surgery, there's bad surgery, then there's perfect surgery. So I would expect him to be back. Do you think Kyle Shanahan, part of him got the news and was like, well, that stinks, but now I can just run the ball more. And he's just ready to keep running it and running it and running it. Like, now people can't even get mad at me when I run the ball a million times a game.
Yeah, but at some point you are going to come up against a team that has figured out how to stop that, although it is a brilliant scheme that he comes up with the motion and the blocking, and when you have George Kittle, it helps. And Deebo Samuel was a big piece of the running game because of his willingness to block. I didn't notice that he said it was a perfect surgery. I hope that's better than a perfect phone call. Hope that's better than a perfect phone call. But look, at some point they got to throw the ball again, and Samuel was becoming one of their better receivers, one of their more valuable pass catchers. He had 57 catches last year as a rookie. Now, they have other guys who have been injured. They're used to this. Guys that they have on the roster that they can't use, Jalen Hurd, Dante Pettis, they're going to have opportunities to work these guys in this year. Kendrick Bourne was a very, very good receiver last year for the San Francisco 49ers, a guy who made some big catches in the divisional round game. And look, until Deebo Samuel is back and at 100%, the other guys have to step up. And one of the things I saw earlier in the year after Emmanuel Sanders left in free agency, a guy that the 49ers had given up, I believe, a third-round pick to get in trade from the Broncos during the season, and he's gone after just 10, 11, 12 games. The other receivers, the younger receivers, were saying how his influence will resonate. That even if you don't have that veteran receiver there this year, it resonates with the young guys, and they've learned how to be professional, and they've learned from Emmanuel Sanders, and those fumes will linger. So maybe that'll help some of these other guys step up. But Deebo Samuel was expected to be a big part of that. They have Brandon Ayuk, who they drafted in round one, a guy they really, really liked. A little more pressure on him to make an impact right away. Bottom line is, it's not good. High-level analysis, it's not good when one of your key players gets injured in June and is out for 10 weeks. But still, it's always better. We said this about Brandon Brooks earlier this week. It's better to have it happen now than to have it happen week one, because at least now you got a chance to come up with a plan, to react, to maybe go out and get a veteran receiver if you need one in the early stages of the season while Deebo Samuel's getting back to 100%. So this is football. You're going to have injuries, and you adapt on the fly, you adjust, you react, and you try to make the best decisions you can.
And more catches for George Kittle. So the 49ers will be fine. They have the best tight end in the game. Yep, I said it. Best tight end in the game. They did. The 49ers did draft Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State in the first round, and I would expect that that's part of the plan right there. And it was, it feels like the draft is a million years ago, because who knows what time is anymore. But that was one of the deepest wide receiver drafts we've had probably ever. And there's going to be a lot of great wide receivers out of there. So they might have one with their first round pick.
Some facts on the Jones fracture, courtesy of producer Pete Demolitis. I mentioned Trent Taylor last year. Taylor had a Jones fracture during training camp. They expected him to return in 6 weeks. He experienced complications from the first surgery. He had a second procedure. The foot became infected. He missed the entire season. And Sammy Watkins had a Jones fracture in May of 2016. It took him 2 years to get fully back to health. I remember Des Bryant dealt with a Jones fracture. This is not an easy thing to come back from, and the 49ers can only hope that that 10-week estimate from the perfect surgery is going to be the right number for Deebo Samuel. Their best play is to have a plan B, a strong plan B in place, and whatever they get from Deebo Samuel the first half of the season, they should regard as icing on the cake.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.